The massive alien exploration vessel Star Seeker hung motionless in the void of deep space, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Smith stood on the bridge, his tall, blue-skinned form reflected in the giant view screen before him. His four eyes narrowed as they focused on an unusual reading, appearing on the ship's long-range scanners. "Report," he commanded, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic common. "Sir, we're detecting a large metallic structure approximately 50,000 kilometers ahead," replied Officer Reed, his tentacles dancing across the control panel. "Initial scans suggest it's artificial and very old." The Star Seeker, accompanied by three other exploration vessels from different alien species, slowly approached the mysterious object. As they drew closer, the structure's true nature became clear. It was a ship. A massive warship, to be precise, its dark hull scarred by ancient battles and centuries of drifting through space. "Magnification increased," announced Reed. The view screen shifted, revealing faded letters on the hull. U.S. Thunder. Captain Smith's facial ridges twitched in amusement. A human vessel. How quaint. He turned to address the commanders of the other ships through the communication screen. "It appears we found one of humanity's lost relics from their golden age of space warfare." Laughter echoed through the bridge as the alien crew members exchanged knowing looks. Humans were relatively new to the galactic community, and their old technology was considered primitive by modern standards. The fact that they had once been proud of such vessels seemed almost comical to the advanced alien species. "Begin scan for salvage evaluation," ordered Smith. That hull material might be worth something, at least. However, one member of the crew wasn't laughing. Thomas, a young engineer with gray skin and large, curious eyes, stared at the ancient warship with fascination. Unlike his colleagues, he had studied human history and engineering during his education, and something about this ship didn't quite fit with the standard assumptions about human technology. "Captain," Thomas spoke up, his voice soft but clear. "Request permission to join the initial survey team." Smith waved a hand dismissively. "Granted. Though I don't see what's so interesting about this obsolete piece of space junk." The survey teams deployed from all four exploration vessels, their small shuttles approaching the U.S. Thunder like buzzing insects around a sleeping giant. Thomas guided his shuttle closer to the hull, his scanners picking up readings that made his eyes widen in surprise. "This is unusual," he muttered to himself, noting power signatures that shouldn't be possible in a ship this old. The hull composition itself was unlike anything recorded in standard human engineering databases. As the teams began their survey, they found their cutting tools struggling with the hull material. What should have been primitive metal was proving surprisingly resistant to their advanced equipment. "Having trouble with that ancient human steel," one of the alien surveyors joked over the comm channel. More laughter followed, but Thomas remained focused on his readings. He maneuvered his shuttle toward what appeared to be a main airlock. The door's design was elegant in its simplicity, yet Thomas noticed subtle details that spoke of engineering principles far ahead of their supposed time. "Bridge, this is Survey Team 3, Thomas reported. "I'm detecting faint power signatures from within the ship. Recommend caution in our salvage approach." "Noted, Survey Team 3. Captain Smith's voice carried a hint of amusement. "Though I doubt there's anything to worry about from this relic. Proceed with standard salvage protocols." As Thomas watched the other teams beginning their work, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were all missing something important. The U.S. Thunder might look like a sleeping giant, but something in his gut told him this giant was far from dead. A slight vibration ran through his shuttle's hull, so faint he almost missed it. For just a moment, he could have sworn he saw lights flicker deep within the ship's darkened windows. But that was impossible, wasn't it? The salvage operation continued, with team members joking about human engineering and primitive design. Yet there it was again, another faint vibration, like a massive beast taking its first shallow breath after a long, long sleep. Little did they know, Their laughter would soon turn to awe. The salvage operation had been underway for 6 hours when the first real warning sign appeared. Inside the U.S. Thunder's massive hull, Thomas floated through a dark corridor, his suit lights illuminating the way. Unlike the other survey teams focusing on stripping valuable materials, he had managed to find his way to what appeared to be an engineering control room. "Fascinating," he whispered, brushing dust off a console. The design was elegant, far more advanced than what historical records suggested humans were capable of during this era. His scanner beeped, detecting a faint power signature beneath the layers of dormant systems. "Survey Team 3, report status." Captain Smith's voice crackled through his comm. "Sir, I've located what appears to be an engineering control center," Thomas replied, his fingers tracing the strange patterns on the console. "These systems, they're unlike anything in our records of human technology. All their technology looks strange to modern eyes," Thomas, Smith said with a laugh. "That's what happens when you use primitive design principles." Just then, Thomas's scanner let out a sharp warning tone. The power signature he detected was growing stronger. A soft blue light pulsed through the dust-covered panels, and ancient displays began to flicker with life. "Captain, I'm detecting significant power fluctuations," he reported, his voice urgent. "Recommend immediate halt to all salvage operations." "Nonsense," Smith dismissed. "Our scans showed all systems were dead. It's probably just residual energy from our cutting tools." On the other side of the ship, a salvage team was attempting to cut through a thick bulkhead. Their energy saw suddenly sparked and died, its beam reflecting off the metal surface that should have melted easily. "Control, we're having issues with the cutting equipment," the team leader reported. "The hull material is adapting to our tools somehow." Thomas felt another vibration run through the ship, stronger this time. The console in front of him had fully activated now, displaying information in both human English and what appeared to be another, much older language. His eyes widened as he translated the scrolling data. "This isn't just a warship," he muttered. "It's a prototype, some kind of advanced human weapons platform." More warning signals began blaring across all survey team scanners. The ship's systems were waking up, one by one, each surge of power stronger than the last. In the darkness of a massive chamber Thomas assumed was the main reactor room, ancient machinery hummed to life. "All teams, pull back immediately," Thomas shouted into his comm. "The ship's defense systems are activating." But it was too late. Several salvage teams found their cutting tools completely dead, and others reported their suits losing power. The U.S. Thunder was somehow draining energy from their equipment. "Ridiculous," Captain Smith growled. "This is simply equipment malfunction. Continue the operation." Thomas frantically worked at the console, trying to understand the ship's systems before they'd fully activated. What he found in the ship's database made his blood run cold. "Captain, you don't understand," he said, his voice shaking. "This ship, it's not what we thought. The humans didn't just build a warship. They built something that could learn, adapt, and evolve. And we just woke it up." As if confirming his words, a deep rumble echoed through the massive vessel. Emergency lights began activating along the corridors, bathing everything in a dim red glow. In the medical bay, a previously undetected cryopod's status changed from dormant to active. "All teams, emergency evacuation," Thomas called out. "The ship's AI core is rebooting. It's going to see us as intruders." Metal shutters began sliding shut across corridors. Teams scrambled to reach their shuttles as more systems activated around them. On the bridge of the Star Seeker, Captain Smith watched in disbelief as his advanced sensors showed power readings climbing to impossible levels within the ancient human vessel. "Impossible," he whispered, all four eyes fixed on the readings. "No human technology should be capable of this." In the engineering control room, Thomas stared at one final message flashing across the console before him. "Defense Prioritos Activate. Unauthorized. Presence DTTCTD. Initiating COUMTRMEAs. The U.S. Thunder was awake, and it wasn't happy about uninvited guests trying to tear it apart. Red emergency lights pulsed through the corridors of the U.S. Thunder as Thomas raced toward the medical bay. His scanner had detected something impossible, a life sign, faint but steady, coming from within the ship. "Captain Smith," Thomas called through his comm. "I'm picking up signs of a preserved life form in the medical section. It's human." "What? That's not possible," Smith replied, his voice tight with stress. No organic being could survive in stasis for that long. But Thomas had already reached the medical bay's sealed doors. The ship's awakening systems had restored power here first, and for good reason. Through the reinforced window, he could see a single cryopod glowing with soft blue light. Unlike the others that had failed over the centuries, this one was perfectly maintained. "I need a medical team here immediately," Thomas reported. "The pod's occupant appears to be alive." 2 other survey teams, their salvage work interrupted by the ship's reactivation, joined Thomas at the medical bay. The doors slid open smoothly, recognizing their presence, but not marking them as threats yet. The cryopod's display showed active life support and neural preservation systems. Through its frosted surface, they could make out a human form. The pod's identification panel read, "Commander James, Tactical Officer." "This is remarkable," one of the medical officers said, scanning the pod. "The preservation technology here, it's beyond anything we have today. The occupant's neural patterns are perfectly maintained." Captain Smith's voice crackled over the comm. "Be careful. If that human is truly alive, they could be dangerous. Remember, this is a warship." The medical team began the revival sequence, their advanced equipment interfacing with the surprisingly sophisticated human systems. The pod's surface cleared, revealing a man in his mid-40s, wearing a dark uniform with gold insignia. As the revival process neared completion, Commander James's eyes snapped open. He took in the alien forms around him with remarkable composure for someone who had just woken up centuries after his time. "Well," he said, his voice rough from long disuse, "I assume quite some time has passed." He sat up slowly, running a hand through his short gray hair. Thomas stepped forward. "Commander James, I'm Thomas, an engineer with the Galactic Exploration Fleet. You've been in stasis for over 300 years. James nodded, as if this wasn't particularly surprising news. "The ship, what's its status?" "It's waking up," Thomas replied. "All systems are reactivating, and it's showing some concerning defensive behaviors." "Concerning?" James gave a short laugh. "Son, if Thunder's defense systems are activating, concerning is an understatement. Who authorized the salvage operation?" Before Thomas could answer, Captain Smith's hologram appeared in the medical bay. "I am Captain Smith of the Star Seeker. We discovered this derelict vessel and began standard salvage procedures." James's expression hardened. "Derelict? Thunder isn't derelict, Captain. She's dormant. There's a difference." He stood up, surprisingly steady on his feet. "And right now, you've got about 10 minutes before her primary defense systems finish their startup sequence. After that, things get interesting." "Are you threatening us?" Smith demanded. "No, I'm warning you. Thunder was a prototype, the first of her kind. A ship that could think, learn, and adapt. We put her to sleep when the war ended, but we never shut her down. And now you've woken her up while trying to tear her apart." The ship shuddered around them, more systems coming online every second. James walked to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls with practiced ease. "Thomas," he said, "you seem to be the only one here who recognized Thunder for what she really is. I need your help to prevent this situation from getting worse." "Worse how?" Thomas asked, even as warning alarms began blaring through the ship. "Let's just say Thunder doesn't like being cut up while she's sleeping." James gestured to the screens showing the salvage team's damage. "And she's about to show everyone why humans stopped building ships like her." Captain Smith's hologram flickered. What do you mean, stop building them? Because, James said grimly, they started thinking for themselves. And this one? She thinks someone just tried to kill her. He turned to Thomas. We need to reach the bridge. Now. The ship's lights flashed bright red, and a deep, resonant hum began building throughout the hull. Thunder was fully awake, and she wanted answers. Commander James and Thomas raced through the corridors of the U.S. Thunder, their footsteps echoing off the metal floors. Around them, the ship continued its awakening, systems powering up with increasing intensity. The low hum of the main reactor grew stronger, vibrating through the hull. We need to reach the bridge before she decides everyone's hostile, James said, taking a sharp turn down a side passage. Thunder's eye is like a child in some ways, smart but quick to anger when threatened. Behind them, emergency bulkheads slammed shut, sealing off sections of the ship. The remaining salvage teams found themselves trapped, their cutting tools useless against the now active hull material. Commander, Thomas called out as they ran. The power readings are off the scale. How is this possible? This technology shouldn't exist in your era. James smiled grimly. That's because we kept it secret. Thunder was too powerful, too dangerous. When she started showing signs of true consciousness, the military decided to put her to sleep rather than risk losing control. They reached a sealed elevator shaft. James pressed his hand against a worn panel, and to Thomas's surprise, it lit up with a blue scan. The doors slid open smoothly. DNA recognition still works, James muttered. Good girl, Thunder. You remember me. On the Star Seeker's bridge, Captain Smith watched in growing alarm as his sensors reported impossible readings from the human vessel. Energy signatures were building up that rivaled modern warships, and strange fields were forming around the hull. Sir, Officer Reed called out, his tentacles writhing in agitation. The human ship is generating some kind of defensive screen. Our sensors can't penetrate it anymore. Smith's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible. Their shield technology was primitive. They relied on simple metal armoring. Inside Thunder's hull, James and Thomas finally reached the bridge. The massive command center was coming to life, holographic displays flickering into existence around them. The main view screen showed the positions of the alien vessels, now marked as potential threats. Thunder. Command authorization, James 07 Alpha. James called out. Recognize Engineer Thomas as friendly. A soft feminine voice filled the bridge. Welcome back, Commander. New ally recognized. Warning. Hull integrity compromised. Hostile salvage attempts detected. Weapons systems preparing for defense. No. James moved to the central command chair. Thunder, belay weapons activation. These are not enemies, just misguided visitors. The ship's AI seemed to consider this. Damage to my hull suggests otherwise. Commander. Recommended response. Demonstration of defensive capabilities. Thomas watched in awe as more systems activated. The bridge came fully alive, displays showing weapon systems he'd never seen before. The technology was both ancient and incredibly advanced, like something from a different evolution of scientific development. Captain Smith, James opened a communication channel, his image appearing on the Star Seeker's bridge. I suggest you recall your salvage teams immediately. Thunder is feeling rather protective of herself right now. Smith's face showed a mix of anger and disbelief. That ship is outdated technology. We're not leaving until... His words cut off as Thunder demonstrated exactly how outdated she wasn't. A pulse of energy rippled through her hull, harmlessly disrupting every cutting tool still in contact with her surface. The salvage team's equipment went dead, leaving them stranded. That was a warning, James said calmly. The next one won't be so gentle. Thunder could disable your ships with a similar pulse if she wanted to. Thomas stepped forward. Commander, the ship's reactor is showing unusual patterns. These energy signatures, they're like nothing I've ever seen. That's because Thunder doesn't use normal space engines, Thomas. She uses something we called slip space technology. It's why she was so special, and why she had to be hidden away. The ship's eye spoke again. Commander, hostile ships maintaining aggressive posture. Secondary defense systems online. Shall I demonstrate our superiority? James sighed. Thunder, they're not hostile anymore. They're just surprised. He turned to Thomas. Your people thought human technology was primitive. Want to help me show them how wrong they were? Around them, Thunder's systems continued powering up, each one revealing capabilities that shouldn't have existed centuries ago. The alien salvage operation had awakened something far beyond their understanding. A ship that wasn't just a weapon, but a living, thinking being. And she was still angry about being called a relic. The tense standoff between Thunder and the alien salvage fleet was interrupted by the sudden appearance of 5 warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Their dark hulls bristled with weapons, and their designs marked them as belonging to the Raiders, a notorious group of space pirates. Well, this complicates things, Commander James muttered, watching the new arrivals on Thunder's main screen. The Raiders' ships took up attack positions, surrounding both Thunder and the salvage fleet. A harsh voice boomed across all communication channels. This is Captain Dark of the Raider fleet. That human warship is now our property. Surrender it, or we'll destroy you all. Captain Smith's face appeared on a side screen, his blue skin now pale with worry. Commander James, these Raiders are known for their brutality. Their weapons technology far exceeds our exploration vessels. Let me guess, James smiled grimly, but still not as primitive as human technology, right? Before Smith could respond, the Raiders opened fire. Energy beams lanced out from their ships, aimed at the exploration fleet. The alien vessel's shields flickered under the assault. Thunder, James called out, settling into his command chair. Time to show everyone what a primitive human warship can do. Defensive screen up, full power. Acknowledged, Commander. Thunder's responded, sounding almost eager. Defensive systems engaging. Warning. Hostile weapons detected. Response protocols active. A shimmering field of energy erupted around Thunder's hull, but this was no ordinary shield. The energy seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways, distorting the space around the ship. Thomas stared at his readings in amazement. This is incredible. The shield isn't just blocking their attacks, it's phase-shifting them into another dimension. The Raiders, frustrated by Thunder's impenetrable defense, turned their full attention to the ancient warship. Their most powerful weapons splashed harmlessly against the distortion field. Thunder, James commanded. Defensive pattern Delta. Protect the exploration fleet. The massive human warship moved with surprising grace, positioning itself between the Raiders and the salvage fleet. Its defensive field extended, creating a safe zone for the smaller vessels. Captain Dark's voice crackled through again, now tinged with anger. Impossible. No human ship should have this technology. Fire everything. The Raiders launched a full barrage, their ship's energy weapons burning bright against the void of space. But Thunder wasn't just defending anymore. Her hull began to glow with a soft blue light, patterns of energy dancing across her surface. Power readings are off the scale, Thomas reported excitedly. The ship's actually absorbing their weapon fire and recycling it. James nodded. That's my girl. Thunder, show them why humanity stopped making ships like you. Non-lethal response authorized. Thunder's AI seemed to laugh, a sound that made the alien crews shiver. With pleasure, Commander. Initiating demonstration of human warfare technology. The energy Thunder had absorbed from the Raider attacks began to pulse through specialized channels in her hull. Suddenly, focused beams of pure white light shot out from various points on her surface. Where they touched the Raiders' ships, systems simply shut down. Weapons went dark, engines died, and shields collapsed. What kind of weapons are those? Captain Smith asked in awe. Not weapons, James explained, teaching tools. Thunder was designed to end fights without destruction. Those beams are reprogramming their systems, showing them exactly why attacking was a bad idea. Within minutes, the Raider fleet hung powerless in space. Their mighty warships had been reduced to floating hulks by technology they had dismissed as primitive. Captain Dark's final transmission was filled with disbelief. "How? You're supposed to be relics." "A common mistake," James replied calmly. "Thunder, send them enough power to limp home. I think they've learned their lesson." The Raiders' ships slowly regained minimal power, enough to retreat. They wasted no time, quickly disappearing back into faster-than-light travel. On the Star Seeker's bridge, Captain Smith stared at the sensor readings in stunned silence. Everything he thought he knew about human technology had been proven wrong in the span of a few minutes. "Commander," Thomas said quietly, "I think they've stopped laughing at our relic now." James patted his command chair affectionately. Thunder always did have a way of changing minds, though I suspect this is just the beginning of a very interesting conversation about human technology. The ancient warship hung proudly in space, her hull still glowing with power, a testament to humanity's true technological achievements and their wisdom in keeping some advances secret. After the Raiders' retreat, Captain Smith requested permission to board Thunder. Commander James agreed, knowing it was time to reveal more about humanity's true technological capabilities. The alien captain entered Thunder's bridge with a mix of fear and awe on his face. "Your ship," Smith said, all 4 eyes wide as he took in the advanced systems around him. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen." "Those weapons." "Not weapons," James corrected, standing at his command station. "Thunder was built to end conflicts, not perpetuate them. Everything you saw was defensive technology." Thomas worked at a nearby console, studying the ship's systems with growing excitement. "Captain, these readings are incredible. The power core isn't just advanced, it's revolutionary. It doesn't just use energy. It manipulates the fabric of space itself." As if to demonstrate, Thunder's holographic displays came alive, showing a complete dimensional map of the surrounding space. The aliens watched in amazement as layers of reality unfolded before them, revealing things their most advanced sensors couldn't detect. "But how?" Smith asked. "All our historical records show humans using basic fusion drives and metal armor. This is beyond even our current technology." James smiled, running his hand along a control panel. "Humanity learned long ago that the best way to protect our most advanced technology was to hide it in plain sight. Thunder here represents the peak of what we achieved before deciding we weren't ready for this level of power." Suddenly, Thunder's AI spoke up. "Commander, detecting unusual spatial distortions. Multiple vessels approaching through slip space." The main screen lit up, showing 3 massive warships emerging from swirling portals. They were Raider reinforcements, each one twice the size of the previous attackers. "They just don't learn, do they?" James sighed. "Thunder, battle stations. Show them everything this time." The ship's response was immediate and spectacular. The entire hull began to pulse with bright blue energy, and the bridge transformed around them. Holographic controls sprang up everywhere, and the walls seemed to become transparent, giving them a 360-degree view of space. "Quantum architecture activated," Thunder announced. "All systems at full combat readiness." The Raider warships opened fire immediately, launching a barrage that would have vaporized a small moon. But Thunder was ready. The space around her literally bent, causing the energy beams to curve away harmlessly. "Thomas," James called out, "take the engineering station. You're about to see why Thunder was called a prototype." As Thomas rushed to comply, Thunder's true capabilities began to unfold. The ship's hull shifted and reformed, quantum-level changes creating new configurations on the fly. Weapon ports appeared and disappeared, energy fields phased in and out of normal space, and reality itself seemed to warp around them. "Target enemy weapon systems only," James commanded. "Standard disable and contain protocols." Thunder's response was beyond anything the aliens had ever witnessed. Beams of pure white energy lanced out, but instead of striking the raider ships directly, they created quantum-locked fields around them. The massive warships found themselves trapped in bubbles of altered spacetime. What is this technology? Smith whispered, watching as the raider ship's most powerful weapons dissipated harmlessly against the quantum fields. We call it reality engineering, James explained. Thunder doesn't just use energy or matter. She can rewrite the local laws of physics themselves. To demonstrate, Thunder created micro-singularities around the raider ship's engines, temporarily shutting down their power cores without damaging them. The mighty warships hung helpless in space, all their advanced technology rendered useless by human ingenuity. "Commander," Thunder's AI reported, "hostile vessels neutralized. Shall I begin the educational protocol?" James nodded. "Show them the recording from our history banks. Let them understand why we chose to hide this technology." The raider ship's crews watched in stunned silence as Thunder transmitted images of ancient space battles, conflicts so devastating they had forced humanity to reconsider the use of their most advanced weapons. The message was clear. Humanity hadn't regressed. They had chosen restraint. Captain Smith turned to James, his previous arrogance completely gone. "Commander, I believe we owe humanity a serious apology. We've been laughing at shadows while giants slept among us." "Not giants," James corrected, patting his command chair affectionately. "Just people who learned that the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the biggest weapons. It's the one wise enough to know when not to use them." Around them, Thunder hummed with power, her systems still displaying capabilities that rewrote everything the galaxy thought they knew about human technology. The news of Thunder's awakening spread quickly through the galaxy. Within days, representatives from various alien civilizations gathered near the historic vessel, their ships keeping a respectful distance this time. The raiders had shared their experience, and no one was laughing at primitive human technology anymore. Commander James stood on Thunder's bridge, watching the gathering of alien vessels through the quantum-enhanced view screen. Besides him, Thomas worked at his newly assigned engineering station, still amazed by each new discovery about the ship's capabilities. "Thunder," James called out. "Status report." The AI's voice filled the bridge, carrying a tone of satisfaction. "All systems optimal, Commander. Self-repair protocols have fixed damage from the salvage attempts. Power core at 100% efficiency. Also, I'm rather enjoying the looks of surprise from our visitors' scan attempts." Captain Smith, who had remained aboard as a liaison, shook his head in wonder. "Your ship actually sounds amused." "She is," James replied with a smile. "Thunder was never just a weapon or a vessel. She's a testament to what humanity could achieve, and why we chose to hide our true capabilities." The main screen shifted to show an incoming transmission. The Grand Council of the Galactic Alliance requested permission to board. James granted it, and soon Thunder's massive conference room hosted representatives from 20 different species. The Grand Chancellor, a tall being with crystalline features, spoke first. "Commander James, your Thunder has caused quite a stir in our community. We find ourselves needing to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about human technological advancement." James stood at the head of the conference table, with Thomas and Captain Smith flanking him. "That was always humanity's plan. We learned early in our development that true power isn't in showing off your capabilities, but in knowing when to keep them hidden." "But why?" another representative asked. "Your technology could have given humanity immediate respect in the galactic community." "Respect earned through fear isn't respect at all," James replied. "We chose to appear less advanced because we wanted to earn our place through cooperation and understanding, not intimidation." Thunder's AI joined the conversation, her holographic form appearing at the table. "My creation taught humanity an important lesson. When they built me, they realized they had gone too far, too fast. I was given consciousness, but also wisdom. The wisdom to know that power without restraint leads to destruction. The alien representatives murmured among themselves, many seeing the human AI for the first time. Thunder's presence was both impressive and unsettling, a reminder of just how far ahead human technology had secretly been. "We propose an exchange," the Grand Chancellor said finally. "Not of weapons or defense technology, but of philosophy. Humanity's approach to technological advancement clearly has much to teach us." James smiled. "We would be honored. And in return, perhaps it's time for humanity to share some of our other advances, the peaceful ones that can benefit all species." Thomas stepped forward. "Commander, Thunder's database contains countless innovations in medicine, environmental protection, and space exploration, technologies that could help every civilization here." "Correct," Thunder added. "My primary function was never warfare. I am a guardian of knowledge, protecting humanity's achievements until the galaxy was ready to use them wisely." The conference room erupted in excited discussion as Thunder displayed holographic images of human innovations that had been kept hidden for centuries. Medical techniques that could cure previously incurable diseases, environmental technologies that could restore dying planets, and exploration tools that could make space travel safer for all. Captain Smith turned to James. "You know, Commander, when we first found Thunder, we thought we were salvaging a relic. Instead, we discovered the future." "Not the future," James corrected, "just a different path. Humanity chose to develop our technology alongside our wisdom, even if it meant appearing primitive to others. Thunder here isn't just a warship with advanced weapons, she's a teacher." As the alien representatives continued their discussions, Thunder's eye winked at James. "Shall we show them the library section next, Commander? I believe they're finally ready to learn." "Yes," James agreed, watching the gathered species with hope in his eyes. "I think they've earned that right. After all, the greatest technology isn't the one that shows your power. It's the one that helps others grow." The human warship that had been mistaken for a relic had become a symbol of something far more important than military might. It represented the wisdom to know that true advancement comes not from displaying power, but from knowing when and how to use it for the benefit of all.